Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Hue Living Room. We've got a great show. It is jam-packed, literally. Our virtual gallery is full, and my guest is now here. So, safe and sound. You know what? Like everything, GPS sometimes does not work, but a certain little Siri saved the day. Thank goodness you were only 5 minutes away. But Joyce Odidison, who is synonymous with wellness, with workplace behavior, and all things in that vein. We are going to be talking a lot about that, but I also have a very special guest, Lee Chapman, who is the creative director and founder and owner of Own It Empire. And Heather, can I say, you kind of take a holistic look at a way that we can function in today's world, which is so nutty and crazy. We definitely want to hear more from you. And it's all about sharing your lived experience. And all of the ladies that are here joining us tonight can appreciate it. And we definitely have the one and only Robin Priest, who will give their opinion on the whole mental health and wellness. And also Robin will give the old Robin Priest take on whatever we talk about. So it's so great to have all of you. Hi Amy, hi Charlotte, hi Sylvia. I guess because you're my live in-person guest, I'm going to start with you, Joyce.
All right, let's go.
Okay. Well, there's so many things. Let's talk about your background, but more importantly, we are now doing in-person events.
Yes.
And you have a very significant event coming up the end of September 28th, 29th, I believe.
Yes.
It sounds like a long time away, but it certainly isn't.
It's not.
And it's in person,
Yes.
and it's a topic that we all have been feeling, we all have been dealing with, and it's, workplace wellness.
Yes, absolutely. We're hosting the Global Workplace Wellness Summit. This is our 5th annual summit, and it's happening live here in the city of Winnipeg. And it's a hybrid conference. So we also have a live feed for our participants who are around the globe who wants to join us. So that's also very exciting because the last couple of years we were totally virtual. Mm-hmm. And it's nice to have the option to come back live this year. So looking forward to the celebration. It's going to be a party. It really is going to be a party. I've already purchased my party shoes, and we're going to have a party. It is. We're going to learn, and we're going to have fun, and we're going to celebrate because wellness is such an important aspect of our life and everything we do in our society. If we're not well, we can't thrive as a country, as a nation, as a people. Our workplaces won't be as innovative and vibrant, and so we just have to celebrate wellness in every opportunity that we get.
Well, we have to emphasize the word global. And I guess with anything or through all of the pandemic, it has allowed us to reach out.
Yes.
So for this summit, what do you kind of hope for, Joyce? The conversations, because it has changed and people have so many different ideas about wellness.
Mm-hmm. It has certainly changed. I think what I've noticed has happened since the pandemic, people have started to take more personal ownership of their well-being, recognizing, hey, I might not be able to see anyone physically. I have to do it all myself. And I think that was a wake-up call for a lot of people who, they just go to the gym and figure out what will happen there, or they were just waiting for work to offer something, and they didn't have that anymore. All of a sudden, we lost all our social network, and even our close friends, we had to stay away from. So people have recognized that I have to come up with a plan. I have to stay focused. I have to take responsibility for my well-being. And that is good. I think in one sense, it's very good that people have had that consciousness that they are responsible for their well-being.
Well, we are going to talk more about the summit and all of the goodies and all of the interesting things that you have planned. But right now I'm going to go to our special guest, Heather Lee. And Heather, I know that you're in Ontario, but where exactly are you?
Yeah, so I'm in Barrie, Ontario, just
Okay.
outside of Toronto. It's about an hour north of Toronto. I lived in Toronto for many years, but Innisfil is my stomping ground here outside of Barrie. So back to the country and loving it here.
Okay, so for some people, and including myself, we don't know the whole story behind yourself, Heather, and how you came to form and create Own It Empire and what that is all about.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. I'm so grateful to be here and see some amazing familiar faces and to be able to share my energy and story to inspire other people to own it. And own it to me means taking full responsibility for our results in our life so we can take our power back and truly create a life we love by design and live happy and fulfilled. And so, how I started here was I had health issues as a kid and didn't necessarily get the assistance I needed. And post university, I went and studied human kinetics, understand more about the body, psychology and biology were my minors. And I had had some more health issues, I had some concussions and what have you. And I really got to see our healthcare system is not treating people as a whole. We are whole beings, mind, body, soul, and spirit. And there's not connection between practitioners, and not all practitioners respect everyone's healing modalities. And there's always so much we don't know. So I started to study training the brain through movement and then advance into nutrition and advanced spiritual training so that I could not only heal my clients and help them truly step into the best versions of themselves, but to heal myself. And along the way, I really just love being an entrepreneur. I truly believe it is a way to live life by design. I get to do what I want, when I want, how I want, work with who I want, and really create an incredible impact doing what I love. And I love helping other people do the same. So through all the ways I've been coaching for over 11 years now, and studying human potential and performance for over 16 years, I realized that in the end, I was working with all entrepreneurs. So all my clients that I was working with were all business owners. And I was specialized in brain and spinal cord injuries. So I did have a small portion that I was still working with for neurotraining. And I realized I loved helping entrepreneurs. And what was helping them be successful was that we worked on them and not just their business. We truly took a holistic approach at them and their life, created harmony and balance, and helped them be their best self. And that all trickled into their business. Now, as being an entrepreneur for over a decade, I had been trying to launch online since I had graduated. I had multiple websites, blogs, things like that, and I had done a bunch of different courses and things online, and everyone said they had the answer. And I remember putting a deposit down for one course, and they were like, well, once you get A, B, and C, then you'll be able to use our program to get to D. And I thought, well, what did I just invest in? And how do I get there? And I saw that was happening all around in the business world. Everyone had the answer, but nobody gave you the whole picture of how to run a business or how to launch in the online space, which is ever evolving in our ever evolving world. So we must be constantly learning and growing in that space. And I took my business and coaching online, had great success, and now help others do the same. So my vision is to truly help conscious entrepreneurs. A lot of our business owners, not all of them, but a lot of the larger corporations don't have the highest interests of humanity. They are not operating from unity consciousness, and I really would love to help businesses, and I'm so grateful that I help businesses actually, what I like to say, birth the new earth. To truly build a unity consciousness planet where we have peace and heaven on earth for the highest good of all. Not for a small portion, not for the 1%, not for the 1% of the 1%. And it really starts back with the people who have the money. And so if I can help more conscious entrepreneurs get wealthier, build businesses that provide positive workspaces, positive opportunities, give back, help people be better people, help this world actually operate in harmony, then that, it to me would fulfill my purpose. And I'm so grateful that the clients that I'm currently working with, they are all really making big impacts and waves in their communities, in their zones of genius, and the ripple effect is really magical. So that's my story. That's how I got here, because I was not treated like a whole in business or self. And I really got to understand how the mind works. And we actually have many things in our belief systems that have us stopped.
Wow.
And if we can actually treat ourselves like a whole and get to the root cause in our health, in our mind, in our habits, then we can actually transform self and actually be able to scale a business to leave a bigger impact. But if we don't actually deal with the root cause, which is within us, then our business will ultimately be capped and will be our own glass ceiling. So I just completed my NLP designation, timeline therapy and hypnosis this year. So the first one, and moving on to the next one shortly, so that I can actually literally help you access your unconscious mind and remove those limiting beliefs that have us stuck in the same trauma cycles over and over again, expecting different results, working so hard. I worked so hard. I had 3 businesses, 3 contracts, worked 7 days a week, volunteering, healing from a concussion, healing from disc injuries, and really realized I literally couldn't work harder. I was out of time. I had no more time to trade for money. And I knew I wasn't the only other entrepreneur out there stuck in the cycle. And so now I get to actually help people work smarter by getting to the root cause and treating themselves and their business like a whole. And I'm so grateful for it.
Wow. Okay, so where do we sign up? Well, and I think and so maybe I'm going to go to Joyce. So like just hearing everything now, what Heather has expounded, and then what your whole event is, it's like we're all talking on the same
Absolutely
wavelength.
Yes.
But why are we still on the rat race gerbil wheel and still trying to figure things out?
That's a really good question, when you ask it that way, because there are tools out there. And what I find is, as humans, we seldom take time to do the things that are good for us. Mm-hmm. We just do the things that feel good, whether it's good for us or not. And not everybody stop to analyze and say, is this what I'm doing good for me? Is it good for my business? Is it good for my career? Is it good for my well-being? And one of the things that we did with our work at Interpersonal Wellness Services is we created a 9-dimensional holistic model, and we allow our clients to measure how well they're doing, to see how well they're doing in all of these dimensions, so they can identify where they're leaking vital energy. Because what we don't know controls us. If we are leaking energy in any one of those elements of our life, we can say all the right words, we can take all the right action, but it doesn't add up because something is missing. It's like trying to, you have a kitchen sink and you open the tap, or you didn't plug the sink. The water is just going to run right through. And I think that's how most of us live. We are not taking time to plug the holes and deal with the false beliefs, to deal with the ideas, the things that are holding us back in our lives, and the habits, and make those change profoundly.
Yeah, I guess too, we quite often get stuck in a rut. I'm going to go to Amy, because Amy, you are the one that actually introduced me to Heather, and then I started reading about what Heather has achieved. And I mean, you're a business owner, you're an entrepreneur. I think that you're doing wonderful work. I would say life is great for you, but like everybody else, everybody has their story, right?
Oh, is that the optics? Is that life is great for Amy? I feel like I'm the one that it's so great being here. Like all my mentors are on here, and I feel like everyone I've talked to everyone in the last couple of months for sure, in bringing my problems with work or personal stuff or stuff with Alyssa. Like it's an ongoing thing, and I'm so grateful that everyone here. Again, I work with, and I always get great wisdom and insight. I know I reached out to Joyce, like, I think a couple months ago about some work stuff, and she just asked like the right question and helping me in navigating these difficult problems that I need to solve. And really, your resilience sometimes, Joyce, makes me stronger in a way, because you're that doer. I remember when we had our, was it the third or fourth year anniversary with I Am Love, we had the workshop, and afterwards you were talking about your global summit. So I've been hearing this every year, and we participate every year, and like nothing phases you. You're like, yeah, no, well, we usually do it in the States, but we're going to do it virtually. We're going to do it this way. We're going to have like big screen TVs, and everyone's going to just use Zoom. And you're like, no problem. I'll find some VAs here, find some VAs there. And all of a sudden, like a span of like a couple months, she had like this whole new team. She just fired her team, and then she had this whole new team develop. Like, I was like in awe. I'm like, oh my goodness, how do you navigate your problems so quickly and just not worried? And that's where I started to kind of go into my rabbit hole, where I'm fearful of a lot of things, and that's where I need the most help sometimes, and like that validation, and walk me through the process. And yeah, so life is not perfect, work is not perfect, personal stuff is not perfect. I've got problems, and I own it. I own my problems, and I'm so happy again, like with having the mentors that I can reach out to in supporting me.
Aww. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, so I tried to sell it. I tried to sell it, Amy. Okay, so quickly, Heather, as I feel this so much, and please jump in, Joyce, whatever. The work-life balance, it never is truly balanced. I always feel that work could go really great, but then your personal life is like tanking, or it's the other way around. How do we come to some sort of agreement or some sort of common ground?
I'd love to add on that. So there's a book called The One Thing, and he talks about, if you want to achieve greatness, there will not be balance. So you have to go to the extremes to achieve greatness, right? The 10,000 hour rule to be a master in your zone of genius. And you can't stay there. So it can only be for a short period of time, or for a set period of time. So I teach 90-day sprints. I encourage everyone to set a goal, stay uber focused, 90 days, and then take a time out, take a break, take a vacation, do what you need, and then jump back in. So always giving yourself a reward at the end. And he says you have 4 glass balls. So one is your integrity, your relationships, your health, and your business is a rubber ball. The business you could put down for a little bit, it will bounce back. Your integrity, your relationships, and your health, you are glass balls that you can only put down for so long before they break. So it's finding the harmony amongst the chaos of the change and the transformation and growth. And I find it's easier to go through if there's an end in sight. If you know you have that time off booked, or that vacation coming, or your spa day with your girlfriends. So I truly believe to achieve greatness, yes, the balance will go for some time, and we cannot stay out of balance, because that's when we burn out. And that's why so many entrepreneurs and business owners quit, because they're tired, they're exhausted, they can't do it anymore because they forgot to put themselves first and actually take a time out. All athletes recover. My coach, Kelly Roach, says, treat your business like an athlete, and athletes all recover. So we forget, as entrepreneurs, we also need time for rest and recovery.
Oh, no doubt.
That is so true.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, glass balls and rubber balls are all sorts of fun things to play with, I guess. But I think Sylvia is going to be involved, and Robin is going to be involved with your summit.
Yes, absolutely. I can't wait to have them on.
Yes. So Sylvia, what's it like working with Joyce? Or no, please let's learn more about the summit.
Well, I'm going to be doing a couple of presentations at the summit. One that is a little bit more sort of occupational therapy based, looking at it's called No Spray, No Pain, and it's or no pain, no sprain rather. It's about injury prevention, because I do a lot of work, especially in production and manufacturing, around injury prevention. And I think we live with this, irrational belief that because you sit at a desk all day, you're essentially not in a harmful work environment. And we know from the research that was done, more than a decade ago, sitting is the new smoking. Well, in production facilities, so is standing all day. So the stuff that I do on site in terms of injury prevention, I'm going to bring into that session in the summit. And then we'll also be talking about resilience and thriving, and moving from surviving into thriving, because, talking about Joyce and being so resilient, and she is, and, I've had the pleasure of spending personal time with Joyce, so I can tell you that what you see is what you get. And this is something that I live by, Joyce lives by, the understanding that if you don't make time for your wellness, you will have to make time for your illness. And so in every part of my life, in every part of Joyce's life, I see the influence of that adage. We preach wellness, we talk about wellness, we teach wellness, but we also live wellness. And that means that when things come along that would flap somebody else, you live in a state of surrender, knowing that everything always works out. And it's not by magic, and it's not by sitting here waiting. It's by trusting and knowing that you've got all the pieces in motion that you can control, and everything will happen. And there's a surrender that comes, I think, from adversity. I think it comes from having the rug pulled out from under you, where you have absolutely no control. And when you look back, the gift of hindsight, I wish we had it in the present moment, but I have an exercise where you can actually use it that way. When you look back on something, you go, wow, I can't believe I survived that. But when you're in the moment, you look up at the mountain and you say, I'll never scale this. I will not. If I had a nickel for every time I've heard someone say, this is going to kill me, and it doesn't. And so there is your evidence that every single thing you've ever been through, you have not only come through it, but you've actually mastered it. Maybe it didn't go exactly the way you planned, but the fact that you're a survivor of that incident, that accident, that trauma, that challenge, says that you will survive the next one too. And when you get to be as old as Joyce and I'm 83-ish. That's just inflated a little bit. You kind of realize that all the things that we worried about when we were younger were so harmful to our well-being, and nothing changed as a result of that anxiety or that fear. And one of the things that I talk about is when we look at workplaces, if we understood that workplaces can literally make you sick or help you maintain your well-being, if we all understood that, and if we understood that the person next to us who's having a really bad day has the capacity to not only influence my health, but my safety, because of the way their brain is impacted by their unsafe or by their stress. So they're now in an unsafe working condition because they themselves are not, their frontal lobes aren't online, so they're not safe. It means I'm not safe. If we understood that, we would approach work a little differently. We would come to work and say, I actually do not like you. But because of the fact that your well-being influences my well-being, I think it was Ram Dass or Rumi, I forget who it was, that said, we're all just here to walk each other home. If we really understood that, then we'd understand we don't have to like the people we work with, but we have to support them, help them, respect them, treat them with kindness, respect diversity, inclusion, and equity. We have to do all those things because there's something in it for us too.
Yes.
And to me, that is workplace wellness, is understanding that our well-being affects the well-being of everyone around us, and vice versa. Can I get a hallelujah?
Okay, and now we don't have to go to the summit. Thank you, Sylvia. Okay.
Oh, there's
Joyce, you might
much
want to.
more of that to come. This is just a little taste of what's to come.
You promised a party. I don't know. She's scaring me.
Oh,
We're gonna
it's
have a
going to
party.
be. It's party, it's church, it's because we need it all. And I think sometimes we compartmentalize our life or wellness and think that, one of the things that I struggled most with when I started doing the wellness improvement system was I added spiritual as a wellness dimension. And there was little brown me going into corporation with wellness, with spiritual wellness. And I was like, oh, they're going to throw me out. But looking back now, as Sylvia just said about hindsight, most of the clients that I work with, this is where they're struggling. Integrity, trust, beliefs, values. That's all encompasses our spiritual. Those are that unseeable, untouchable element of who we are that we spend so little time developing. That's why we go to work and we are not ourselves. We can connect and we can engage and we can treat people well because we're not spiritually well. And humans are spiritual beings. We're just in the shell, and that's breath is spirit. When we're no longer spiritual beings, then we no longer have breath. And I think we've forgotten that. And when we think about well-being, we think, oh, if I go for a run, I'm fine, but I can be nasty to that person. And if I'm eating well, I'm good. It's so much more to that. All the elements, it's the spiritual, it's the social, the emotional, occupational, the intellectual, the environmental, the financial, the physical, and the interpersonal, because the way we relate to each other, we're social beings and we're interconnected, and what you do impact me. It's funny when you look at us here. I met Amy, and Amy introduced me to you and Sylvia, and introduced me to Robin. We're all connected. It's that degree of connection, and we've forgotten that, right? We've forgotten how important it is, and it's just as important in the workplace when your boss doesn't say good morning to you, or you're in conflict with your coworker. It affects you at a cellular level. And that's what we want to talk. That's what we want to continue to remind people, because I have clients I've worked with 10 years ago and they said, oh, I forgot. Yes, you remind me. Yeah, I didn't do that. And I say, when things were well, what were you doing then? We forget. It's that whole concept of a remembered wellness. When we're feeling well, we forget to mark down why we're feeling well, so that when we're feeling unwell, we go, what am I not doing? What did I do differently? How do I get myself back aligned? Right? And that's what's important, is being able to be resilient and to get back aligned.
And Heather, do you have something to add?
I did. The book The Slight Edge is one of my favorite books, and I read it in 2015, and I'm rereading it right now in our community. And The Slight Edge is about doing the little mundane things every single day, compound over time, that bring us success. And what often people do, as you were just saying, they do them until they're successful, and then they stop doing them, and then they go back to barely surviving. So you go to almost thriving, and most people's life cycle looks like this, because they did the things. They forgot about the remembered wellness. They stopped doing the things, and then they come back. And what often happens, and you talked a little bit about it before, and I love it how Jeff Olson says in the book, we choose what's comfortable now. And we end up uncomfortable later in our health, in our finances, in our relationships. So if we could choose to be uncomfortable now, go to the gym even though you don't feel like it, but you want to have integrity to yourself because it's in your calendar and you know it's good for you and you do it, that's casting a vote for our future self. Although uncomfortable now, much more comfortable later in our health, our mental, physical, emotional health. So I always come back to this slight edge on our habits and what will bring us to success. And I actually put them in a habit tracker. So we use a habit tracker for our high performance habits, because how easy is it to do the thing and then to stop doing it? So we actually track, and Robert Kiyosaki says, whatever you track improves. Okay. So we put our high performance trackers for our goals, personal and professional, in our trackers.
So important.
It's a lot of homework. And without people like yourself, Heather, and like Joyce, and like Amy and Sylvia, we would all be lost. So is this going to be an ongoing thing? I suspect that there was a big surge of this during COVID and isolation and people feeling lost. Like Joyce, what is the reaction now to the work that you do? And Heather, I'll ask you this same question too. 20 years ago, or were you doing this 20 years ago?
Oh, I've been doing this for 25 years.
Okay, I'm short 5 years.
So, but I must say the need now has increased. Usually in my work, I would have summer downtime. I would write a book in the summer. I would do, not anymore. I have worked more this summer than I can even remember. It's just been so busy. There are calls I haven't returned because I have to say, okay, you're not dying. I will get to you next week. You just have to. And so we have to learn to prioritize. And we have to learn as, even as entrepreneurs, to be able to, I've always said, for the longest while, I wouldn't give my clients my cell phone number. I said, I'm not a heart surgeon. There is no reason for you to be able to reach me whenever you want to. Because you're not dying. Whatever you have to do or you need, you can leave a message. Actually, just the exercise of you leaving me a message is going to give you some relief. And then when I listen to it, I will have time to contemplate on what it is you need and possibly even be better at supporting you then you calling me and I have to drop whatever I'm doing in the midst of it. Cell phone is a great addition to our life, but we have to learn how to use them. We have become so addicted to these digital devices and tied to them, and it's another area where many employees struggle and many professionals and entrepreneurs struggle because it's added more work to us. It's added us an urgency to our day, which is causing exhaustion, burnout, overwhelm. And I love them. They're useful. It would have been good if mine worked today, but it didn't work, and I got here. So we have to remember. I was trying to remember it. I said, I have to start remembering what life was like before the microwave. How many of us here remember before the microwave? Like, really, my kids have no clue what that era would be like. But we had patience. You had to put your food in the oven or in the pot and you waited, and we had less stress. And I'm not saying that we give up our microwave, but I'm saying maybe we'll start to learn to find those little pauses, those little times, and bring them back into our lives, because we have the same DNA strand that they had 100, 200 years ago. It's the same DNA strand. What we've just done is added more stress on the same system. So our lifespan is shorter. We're having more chronic diseases. We're more overwhelmed, burnt out, and our mental capacities have just been fried because we are doing too much.
Well, that was going to lead me to tie in with Robin. There's a lot to learn about this. Heather, quickly too, spinning off of my question and what Joyce said, being inundated with people, have you now kind of made it easy for us? Like, I'll just need to pick up the phone and call Heather because I can't figure this out. I don't know.
So I only work during office hours.
Okay.
I create boundaries. Boundaries is one of the best things for us to implement. Exactly. I have a business phone, and there's certain hours that phone gets put away. My phone is always on silent. You cannot access me unless I want you to. So there's no notifications going off all day long. So just minding our mental health and creating our boundaries is so important. And to truly be able to pause and ask ourselves, what is the things we want to be doing? What is our goals? And are all the things we're doing moving us towards our goal? Or do we just say yes to everything? So do you want to? Do you have the time, money, and energy to? Do you have the framework in your life too? And then you can actually start to create boundaries. And a lot of the times we can remove half the things out of our life and it wouldn't affect our business, but it would probably positively impact ourselves. So just creating that space, creating the boundaries. And I always ask, will that get me closer to my goal? And do I want to before I agree to it in the calendar?
Okay, great advice. Robin, lots of stuff to think about, but what are you going to talk about at the summit?
Well, I'm doing a couple of things. I'm on a panel on day one about diversity and inclusion and talking about wellness with those kind of concepts. So I'm super excited about that. And on the second day, I'm doing a session called Promoting Mental Health Peer Support. So one of those things about us being able to chat with each other who've shared common experiences. So I'm super excited about being able to talk about that and what it looks like in workplaces. And one of the things that I want to say is not every company wants to develop peer support programs. So we're actually trialing this week, and Amy's trialing it with me. We're doing a session for a group of people who are working in the community and they get a bit flustered sometimes, and we just wrote a course called When We Aren't Sure How. And it's really about how do we have a conversation with someone that's maybe going through something and we're just not sure how to be there. And I think the piece for me is the conversation that everyone's had, right? It's about connectedness, but sometimes people, we get that. I call it the grocery store phenomenon. You know, you go to the grocery store and the person goes, "Hi, how are you?" And they're expecting you to say good. And if you go, "God, I've had a shit day," you watch them go, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, thanks, that'll be $20.15. So, like all of what I do, whether it's peer support or it's when we aren't sure how training or whatever training, it's how do we support people to not be the deer in the headlights so that we can connect with someone on a human to human level. It's that getting our human back on that we've all been talking about, right? So I get super excited, and some of the stuff we do in that, and I'll be talking about it around the mental health stuff at the summit, is what we were talking about like remembering the wellness stuff. What do we do each day to keep ourselves well? But think about stress in different levels. Some stress we see it coming, some we don't, but a lot of it we see it coming. And what do we do before, during, and after that actually supports ourselves? So we've got some exercises to kind of play with people around that. And I've watched people just come in and remember those discussions and just breathe. And for me, it's unleashing our awesomeness. If we think about all the areas of wellness, and we're not just, oh, let's go to the gym, or oh, let's eat healthy, because as everyone said, it's holistic. It's like the people in our lives, it's our connection to our environment, it's what we're doing that brings us passion, what our values are, all of it. I think they're the pieces for me that we can have the greatest impact. And do I think there's more about it now? Yes. Mm-hmm. Is there a little cynical side of me that goes, oh, it's sexy for businesses to talk about mental health and wellness? And then it's like, oh, that was sexy. Now what's the next sexy thing? Like what I want to create, and I think everyone on here wants to create, is it's not the sexy thing. It's the thing for society, and it creates the fabric that we live by and connect by. Jesus, I sounded profound tonight, didn't I?
Jeez, are you running for mayor?
Well, no.
Can I copy that? Yeah, we do that.
We love you.
Charlotte, I mean, you are always sitting there so calm and collected and writing notes. There is one aspect, though, that we had left out. Well, I guess sort of, and that's family. And granted, yes, not everybody has the wealth of having a family, too. So there's the off spin on that. But how the family can affect everything that we've been talking about. And for the most part, most people spend more time in their workplace than they do with family.
You know, one of the things that I always talk about is, you know, family can mean different things to different people. So it could be a best friend, a coworker, or it could be the traditional family. And absolutely, family impacts our mental health, and our mental health impacts the family as well. And one of the things when Heather, you were talking about that 90-day sprint, all I kept thinking to myself was, please tell your family that you're going to do a 90-day sprint, because huge conflict shows up if the family has no idea what's going on. And if we can all be on the same page to support you through that 90 days so that we're all knowing when the end game is, what that looks like, you're going to have a lot more of a healthy family environment as well. And so I was thinking that part. But one of the things I spend a ton of time is working with families or coaching people who work in workplaces of when a family member is struggling at home, and how to have a conversation with their employer of what's going on at home, but how it's not really impacting my work life, but it could impact my work life, like that kind of a conversation, and how important it is to have it. And it came from my own lived experience. I was at the time my daughter was struggling. I was on a corporate board, and one of the board members knew what was going on in my life, and they're like, you know, you should resign. And I'm like, I'm really enjoying this position. I know I'm adding value to this, and I'm not prepared to quit. And the pressure was put on me a bit, and I thought, man, just because life is a little hard at home, you're asking me to quit something that I love being part of. And so it's finding the voice to be able to have those conversations, to say I'm still able to do it, I'm adding value to it, and life is a little hard at home right now. So
True.
That's kind of where my head was tonight. Sylvia.
Oh, I just wanted to add to that, Charlotte. I just had goosebumps when you were talking about that, because I've also had that experience where someone was kind of dismissive, and, you know, if you can't handle it, I'm like, whoa, where did that come from? Did you just make a judgment on me that I can't handle my job because I'm having a struggle? That's not cool. But here's what I know about physical issues and mental health issues. When somebody comes back to work or comes to work with a sore back, we get them a new chair, we get them a sit-stand station, we tell them to take breaks, we let them go to the first aid room and do their stretches and all the other things. Somebody comes to work with a mental health issue, which may be a circumscribed period of time. I'm just going through this very, really tough struggle with my kid, or it might be a long-term thing. We have no accommodation. We make a judgment that they can't do their job. And I had the most beautiful, although harrowing experience, some years ago with an injured worker. I wanted to see, I was back in a manufacturing company after a month away, a month of not being there, and I wanted to check in with somebody that had a back injury. And as I approached him, I said to the safety officer, hey, can I just go see how he's doing? He says, oh, yeah, for sure. So he kind of waited in the aisle, and as I approached the worker from behind, I felt him before I saw, and I knew he was not okay. And it wasn't anything I saw him do, it was what I felt. And I walked up behind him and I said, how are you? And he turned around and he looked at me and he just broke down. And the tears and the shaking. And I said, come here, come on, let's just go somewhere private. Do you want to talk? What do you need from me? How can I help you? And he proceeded to tell me this story of a child of his sister that he was financially responsible for, second brain tumor, kid's 5. Like, how does this happen? And he's devastated. And I said to him, we talked for a while and he shared and I let him cry and I hugged him. I asked him if I could hug him. And I said, do you want to go home? Like, this is not the place for you today. And all of a sudden there was this flash of anger in his eyes. You can't send me home. I don't get paid if I go home. Don't send me home. And oh my gosh, I felt heartsick that I'd even said that. I had forgotten. They don't have that paid time, right? So I said, do I have your permission to ask a supervisor to have someone shadow you today? Because I know what happens to the brain when we're stressed. The frontal lobe goes offline. We're not safe, right? He's working in a production facility. So I said to him, do I have your permission? He said, yes. The supervisor himself said, I will shadow you for the rest of this week. We'll work together and you can stay at work. I'm not going to lie. I cried right there in front of everybody. I cried. We actually all had a little group hug because the supervisor was also tearing up and the safety officer was tearing up. But we helped that person whose family was in trouble, who needed to be at work. We helped them stay at work. That's workplace wellness. Workplace wellness is not the walking program every Friday at lunch. It's not Zumba on Thursdays. It's not, hey, if you need flex time, you can come in late and go home, come late, stay late, go home early the next day. That's all pieces. But if you want to do workplace wellness, you better fix your culture and you got to start at the top and it all filters down. We need leadership training. We need leadership coaching. We need to stop throwing policies at people. Policies speak to the head and you will get compliance. But you speak to the heart and you will get commitment. That's really different. That's what we need to do. We need to bring heart into workplaces and stop throwing policies at people and remind people what it is to be a good human. Remind people of their essential humanity, which encompasses their spirituality. And if we could do that and shift culture, all the rest is gravy. The walking club, it's gravy. The Zumba on Thursdays, it's gravy. And it's great.
Heather, I know that you could probably add on to this, but yeah, what kind of legacy do you want to leave for the next generation? For your kids or, for their kids.
A place where that is common, a place where that kind of behavior and respect and understanding is common. And that's how the business was started. So I want to leave a legacy that leaves a positive impact and a legacy of love. That's what I'm here to do. And love means we are all one. We are all connected. Energy is neither created nor destroyed, only transfers. So we really, truly are all one. And if we understand when we harm others, we harm self. When we harm self, we harm others. So if we can come from a place in business and workplaces where we treat people like a whole mind, body, soul, and spirit, like Robin was saying, do we send flowers and to the psych ward with a get well card? We need to create space for people physically, mentally, spiritually, and emotionally in the workplace. And I want it to be common. I want the uncommon knowledge of emotional and spiritual wellness to be common and part of an everyday practice. I would like that as companies, as business owners, as employees, as a team, we meet people where they're at. Mm-hmm. Often we want them to be somewhere else and we make them bad and wrong, and that doesn't help anybody grow. And yes, we have to be uncomfortable to grow, but don't you think people grow and perform better at work when they're happy and treated well? So if that could just be common, that we treat bring the human back, I think Robin said, let's bring that back. We're all humans. I said to somebody, oh, I almost bumped into them, like, oh, a human was there. And he started laughing like I called him a human. That was a strange thing. I thought, but aren't you? Aren't we all humans? So to bring the human back, to bring the holistic back, I think way back we had it, right? Like our grandparents just knew. My grandma's like, apple cider vinegar cleanses your blood. Use it in salad dressings. Take a bath with it. Clean the floor with it. There was just things that we did and back in the day a lot more holistically that have been cut out, and we live in a very mechanical world. So if I could be a part of that legacy of being that holistic approach, create companies and businesses where that's common, where we put people first, where we meet people where they're at, and we live in service, I think we'd all be a lot happier and the world would be a better place.
Oh, well, okay, so Heather's leaving her mark. Joyce?
Oh, well,
Oh.
I'm a big legacy builder. Everything that I do is based on leaving a legacy. My kids know. I've always teased them. I was like, no, my money's for my grandchildren. They're like, Mom, you don't even have grandchildren. I was like, I will have one day. And I think it's really the little things that we look at doing. And one of the pieces that I teach employees when I work with them, it's what will your coworkers remember when you're no longer here? It doesn't matter if this is your dream job or not. It is going to be your essence, your energy that you leave behind, and that's what they're going to remember. And it might be what takes you to the next job and to the dream job. It might be a good referral from this job. And whether you're a leader in the organization or whether you're the janitor, you can contribute something positively. So my entire life has been built, and my work is legacy building. I've written 6 books. I design programs all around leaving a mark and giving people tools that they will continue to live and practice in their life. One of the things that I believe strongly in are the wellness competencies. And when Sylvia, when you talked about the Zumba and the yoga, and those are all little pieces of well-being that we do. But most people, when they think of wellness, they think of the physical element of wellness, something I imbibe in my mouth, something I eat or drink, or what I do with my body is all that's, involved in being well. And it's not, because in his work, The Biology of Belief, Bruce Lipton reminds us of the cell and the environment and how we connect, and there's so many elements of that. So with my work, and the latest body of work that I've done is around the wellness competencies. And what I've done was to look at the various areas of life and pull down wellness competencies. And my programs that I teach and the coaching programs that I run, and even with Coach Velocity School of Coaching, where we it's the wellness competencies. These are integrity, responsible communication, self-mastery, engagement, capacity building, interdependence, and we go into innovation. We look at vibrancy and resilience. And these 9 wellness competencies, when you put them and you display them, you start to see how important they are for us as a human race. Humans, all people, no matter what color, race, size, or where we live in the world, need these elements for us to be able to not just survive on the planet, but to thrive and leave a lasting mark for the next generation. Because if we practice integrity, if we practice interdependence, we will take care of our environment, we'll take care of each other, and we will leave something behind, because we're not going to be here forever. And when the short lifespan that we have, we should be leaving something that others can take and extend and build upon. And so that's my entire work, and everything that I do is based on legacy building.
Wow. Well, it's 25 years, but it's well spent. And Joyce, I can't believe it, but it's all these concepts that you take everybody, you take and you pick and you choose, right, and apply it to yourself. But we're all in good hands, I think, when we have people all like yourselves that have joined us on today's show. And it's the whole thing that you're not alone, right? And I think that truly is the big part of it, and that we're all human and we all go through everything. Once again, the Global Wellness Summit.
Global Workplace Wellness Summit,
Thank
September
you.
28 to 29, 2020. It's a hybrid summit, so you can be there live, or you can get a virtual pass and join us. We're encouraging organizations to buy virtual passes for the employees who are working hybrid and remote, and those who want to attend, because most employees are who are alone at home. It's a great opportunity to come and be part of a wellness community and connect with people in a safe way and just feel that energy, because humans need energy for us to thrive, and we can do that in a positive way.
Most definitely. Thank you so much, Joyce. And Heather, your website, do you want to give that out for us, please?
Yeah, absolutely. And you can grab that free habit tracker. It's customizable, so everyone can start owning their high performance habits. And I just wanted to say it's not too much homework. Only pick 2 habits to work on at a time. It takes about 60 days to change. Then you can pick new ones. So it's not too much all at once, because then we get overwhelmed. But ownitempire.com, and you can grab the habit tracker. And we do free events every month. So definitely check out our events. They are incredible. Everything from mastering manifesting and understanding the stages of change and transformation, to learning that 90-day sprint, and so much more. And I really just thank you so much for allowing me to share my thoughts and energy with everybody. I'm so grateful to be here today, and hopefully we'll see you at ownitempire.com.
Well, and hopefully you'll be here in Winnipeg live so we can have you back on the show. And Robin, and of course, Charlotte, your websites too, because it's all information that everybody needs to have. So Robin, your website?
It's robinpriest.com. Robin with a Y. Come and play with us. Love to chat. And come to the Global Workplace Wellness Summit, because they've got rock stars and there's a party afterwards.
And Charlotte, your website?
Depending on what hat I'm wearing, but I think you're referring to the family one, so
Yes.
it's allfamily.ca, so for supports for the family.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. And I just wanted to sort of hype a very special event happening September 6th. Joyce, are you available? Heather, you're invited, but I know because it's going to be in person.
Okay.
Yeah, she's saying okay. Yeah.
I'm
Mark that.
keynoting on September 6th.
Are you?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
what, in the evening?
No, I think.
Okay. So it will be an evening thing. So Charlotte, Robin, more details to follow.
Okay.
September 6th, Tuesday. All right. For now, though, thank you everyone for joining us on the Hue Living Room. It's been wonderful, and we'll see you next time right here on the Red Couch.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Yes. No, it was
been a
good to
pleasure.
see you
Yes, it
again.
is.
Oh, I know. Lots of stuff, eh?
Yeah, it's been busy.
Thank you so
Hi,
much.
Joyce.
Hey, Robin.
I'm
Good to
looking
see
forward
you.
to.
Yes.
I'm so looking forward